Today on the podcast, we have Rue Macdonald. Rue Macdonald belongs to Cruden Bay in Scotland. We get to hear a lot about Cruden. He also works with the DP World Tour. We're excited to pick his brain about upcoming events. Enjoy.
Well, welcome everyone to another podcast, another version of Travel Royally Podcast. Today, we're thrilled to have Rue Macdonald from Scotland, specifically Cruden Bay. You can see the fourth hole at Cruden Bay over my shoulder. And Rue is a passionate voice for all things Scottish golf. He's the host of the Scottish Golf Podcast. And his day job, he's responsible for social media with the DP World Tour. And he plays off 7 at Cruden Bay, which is a wonderful course if you haven't been. So first question, Rue, are you originally from Cruden Bay? Did you grow up there?
Hi Jeff, thanks for having me on. No family ties to the area apart from now my wife, but my mother's from Dublin, my father's from the Western Isles in Scotland. We was born and grew up on the island of Islay, which is home to the Macri golf course, until I was 2.5, and then we moved up to Aberdeen. So born in Glasgow, but then brought up in the Isle of Islay, and then up here since for the last 25 years up here, so 25 years plus. So very lucky to call this place home, and lucky to grow up around so much amazing links golf.
Absolutely. Did you grow up playing on the Macri?
No, I was too young, so it was really Cruden Bay was the first introduction. And strangely enough, the reason I think I fell in love with golf tourism was hearing the American voices and the North American voices at Cruden Bay. As a 8-9-year-old boy wondering why these guys and girls with funny accents were playing my golf course. It was obviously something special, but you don't realize that when you're 8 or 9. And very much a membership that's accessible to everybody. So we were, Cruden Bay is we're about £700 annually for our dues, and that's for a top 100 golf course in the world. So we weren't at a fancy country club, so hearing American voices was a bit of a surprise when you're an 8-year-old boy.
So were your parents keen golfers?
My father, he was playing every weekend, so very much an impressionable child. I have a twin brother, so me and him would go up to Cruden Bay with our dad, and he would go play the course, and we'd practice and hit balls in the range and play the 9-hole course. So it was golf from an early age for me.
That's wonderful. You do realize now, I know, how fortunate you are to live at Cruden Bay and play that course as often as you're able to, right?
Yeah, and also just be around some other golf courses as well, so many great golf courses. And I think, your listeners and your clients probably, don't quite realize, if they haven't been, how close everything is in Scotland. We're a small country, and a lot of the cities, you're driving back and forth in the same day. So even if I wanted to go to play Royal Dornoch tomorrow, I could drive up there and drive back in the same day. So to be within 2 or 3 hour drives of any golf course I wanted to play. I think Turnberry might be the longest drive for me, which is kind of 3.5 hours each way. But everything was within driving distance, which is great.
Southerness might be a little further, but you're right.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. You're showing off with your golf knowledge there.
Well, that's one of the, I want to play every links course in Scotland, and I haven't. Besides Macrahanish, I haven't spent much time out in the Western Isles, so I haven't been to the Hebrides yet, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
So now, Rue, Hayden and I love your podcast. You've had great guests like Stephen Proctor and Roger McStravick and Jeff Sackleford, and I love the pod that you did on Cool Links. Your podcasts are really well done, and I know you haven't done one in a while. It sounds like you're planning to do some more this summer. Is that true?
It'd be a missed opportunity, given the world of golf will be focusing on not only the Old Course and the 150th Open, but I'm pretty excited about the Women's Open at Muirfield. I think that's a massive step for golf, as a sport. Muirfield as a a traditional venue. So that, and then you've obviously got the Scottish Open at Renaissance. I think it being a co-sanctioned event now on the PGA Tour, I think it's a really exciting summer, and golf tourism and Scottish golf tourism is what I'm passionate about. So definitely keen to get the podcast back this summer and have a good run of episodes. The Cool Links episode, the one you mentioned, is one of my favorites. I actually broke that story when there was Mike Kaiser and the owner Todd Warnock up there. They were walking the grounds the same day I was walking the grounds after hearing a tip off about the golf course. And Todd, anyone that knows Todd Warnock, he invited me back into his beautiful luxury boutique hotel, and we sat down over a coffee and chatted things through with Mike Kaiser. So I was in the presence of golf royalty there without really knowing it, but it was cool. And then Matt Janella, who I've also had on the podcast, formerly of the Golf Channel, then shared that news onto Golf Channel and Morning Drive, and before you know it, the whole golf world was talking about this proposed Mike Kaiser golf course in Dornoch. So it was a pretty cool one to get.
Is that on hold still, or is it back on? I've seen conflicting reports. What's happening up there?
Yeah, so I've kept in touch. Todd Warnock has kind of walked away from the development, but there is a really keen group of locals who are working to maintain the development plan that they had in place there. It would still be a Mike Kaiser golf course. It would still be a Bill Coore designed golf course, which is amazing because he hasn't done any work over here. So there would be some changes to protect the environment, some of the stipulations, but there's encouraging signs from this local group of young people, because that area, anyone that's traveled to the north of Scotland, it's kind of a quiet there's lack of jobs for young people up there, and there's a real economic argument to say, well, look, we need something like this that's going to be massive for tourism up there. And what people don't, that are not in golf, don't really understand. Mike Kaiser and Bill Coore are kind of the best in the business, and they've done this in other parts of North America. Really, they've seen small areas and provided huge economic, stimulus to those areas. So I'm excited. There's certainly it's not gone away, and I think hopefully we'll still see that come to fruition in the next couple of years.
Yeah. I thought you were going to break a big story here for us. It would be our first big break. Newsworthy anyway.
No.
What was your inspiration originally to start doing a golf podcast?
I think a similar age maybe to Hayden. I grew up with probably we were maybe one of the first Hayden to be on Facebook. Before our parents joined it. 15 years later. But that growing up. I was at college and I was learning about communications, and we were touching on social media in the very, very early stages of it. And I guess it was just that and being at the forefront of that, and then understanding the audio was going to be the next wave of how people communicate. And yeah, I think I definitely launched, one of the first golf podcasts back in, 2015. And there wasn't a lot of people talking golf. So I guess I built up a little niche, and it kind of proved pretty successful. As you say, I haven't done one in a year or so, but I really enjoy talking with people like yourselves that are equally passionate about all things Scottish golf travel. And what the podcast really was is people to hear from other travelers like themselves that have been to Scotland and pass on any advice. It was the way I said to people, it's like an audio trip advisor, really.
Right. But it was wonderful. And, you're right. There's not a lot of Scottish golf podcasts. There aren't a lot of them. So for me, when I scroll through YouTube or Apple looking for podcasts, what I find are like even Golf Getaways, which I love. I'm strictly looking for their episodes on links golf. Scotland, Ireland, England, Wales, and it's rare. So it's always good to and there's a guy in Ireland. I don't know his last name, but he's got a podcast called Paddy Talks Golf. It's really, I enjoy that one, but
yeah.
Anyway.
Rue, I'm just now getting into golf podcasts. Do you have any advice on who to go towards just for links?
Yeah, I guess, there's the big golf podcasts, like Shotgun Start. They talk about PGA Tour, DP World Tour stuff. And, if you're a follower of that, I'd recommend them. Brendan Porath and Andy Johnston from the Fried Egg. The Fried Egg's another good podcast. I'm sure, Jeff, you've enjoyed listening to some of their links golf takes. They have Tom Doak on there on a regular basis. And then No Weighing Up seems to be the one that's certainly mainstream. And those guys, Chris, Tron, they all love their links, Scottish links golf, and I've been lucky enough to have both of those on the podcast as well. So there's some starters for you, but you go down that rabbit hole and you'll end up finding 5 or 6 other ones that you can subscribe to.
For sure.
Yeah, we had Jim Hartzell on a couple months back. He's a wonderful guy.
Yeah, he's definitely played more golf than I could probably dream of in Scotland. He's achieved. He's went to some places I didn't even know had golf in Scotland. So good for him.
And particularly out there on the Western Isles where you're from, he's played all of those places out there.
And that is a serious mission, to wait around a day for the one sailing to whatever island and play the 9-hole course that's maintained by grazing farm animals, and then wait another day for the next ferry over. It's definitely, I think once I've achieved the open rota courses and all the bucket list courses on the mainland, then I might look over there and try and follow the Jim Hartzell trail.
Yeah, well, now that you mentioned that, I'm one step ahead of you. I played all 13 or 14 courses that have ever hosted the Open. And I mean, they're all magnificent, right? I mean, even the ones that don't host the Open anymore are a great deal of fun, but you got to get on that. It's easy for you. It's harder for me.
Oh no, I'm pretty good. I think I maybe have played. I remember putting a tweet out. I think I may have played all the Scottish ones now. But I'd throw in Prestwick in there and Musselburgh. But it's that's a bucket in itself. That open rota kind of top tier courses. But then there's the middle tiers, as the likes of Cruden Bay, and then I wouldn't go pot committed with one type of golf course like a full open rota. That might be for some people, but I like to dabble in a little bit of the under the radar courses that you and your father have had the privilege of playing in the past, and mixing it up.
Well, I think that's a secret from my perspective of how to build an affordable golf trip, right? You're going to have the Carnoustie, but then you can have Panmure. You can have Royal Dornoch, and then you have Golspie or Brora. Those are, and I think the difference is one of the other experiences we want our guests to have is to meet people like you or people in the clubhouse, right? Or get the opportunity to play with other members. If I have guests going to the Highlands and I can get them to go to Murray, I can arrange a Ryder Cup match for them, right? I mean, how often are Americans going to get to play against Scottish golfers in a, not a serious match, but a fun match? Scott's Craig down near St. Andrews has agreed to do the same thing with me to do Ryder Cup, right? And have a dinner afterwards. And,
wow. That's great.
Those types of experiences are great.
Yeah, and we all travel for cultural experiences, and as as fickle as this sounds, we play golf slightly differently, and it'll be interesting for your clients to maybe just see, not just the humor, but the playing styles. You'll never see a lob wedge near the green, for instance, if you're playing with locals.
Right. Exactly. And to be honest with you, I think that's what's made me a better golfer is the creativity that comes from playing over there and playing the ball along the ground as opposed to the air. And my ability to get out of bunkers improved once I started playing out of pot bunkers, right? Having to get the ball up so quickly. So
Yeah, deep bunkers, heavy sand. You'll soon figure out bunkers. But yeah, it's great. And actually, as much as I love playing Kingsbarns or Dumbarnie down there in St Andrews is an amazing new golf course. You will if you walk in there on a summer's day, you'll probably hear a lot of American or North American voices. And the beauty of the Murrays or the Cruden Bays is that you walk into a clubhouse and there's a bit of a mix. There's definitely a local mix, but there's the visitor traffic as well. So
Yeah. You go to the big courses for the course.
What's that, Hayden?
You go to the Dumbarnie and the Kingsbarns for the course, and then you go to Murray for the experience.
Right. That's a great point. Well, I'll tell you what, Rue, what I was thinking of, if you're going to play Dumbarnie, I would also recommend down there play one of the other courses like Ely. I mean,
love Ely. Oh, Ely's great. Ely's fun. It's short. You make loads of birdies. You enjoy the view. The turfs down there is amazing. The little green sites are amazing. There's drivable par fours. The town of Ely, the Ship Inn restaurant and bar is amazing. It's a real, that's a cultural day out down there. Not only the golf, but being able to be in one of those seaside towns that you get on the East Nuka Fife. And as you say, it's only 25 minutes from St Andrews or 10 minutes from Dumbarnie, and a totally different type of golf experience.
Yeah, this is going to be Hayden's first trip. And Hayden, I gave him the rota that we're going to play.
Yeah.
If you can't tell on the video or on the screen, his mouth is watering right now at our conversation. He can't wait to get over it.
I'm just enjoying it. I'm just thinking about my trip and how I'm going to have to change my golf game and kind of adjust. Everybody's like, you can't use your 60 degree. I'm like, that's all I use. What am I going to do? What am I going to do?
Well, yeah. And, hearing that you're a bit of an athlete as well, and, as much as that's going to be beneficial for some shots, it's not always beneficial for others. So,
yeah, I know it.
Well, he hits a very high ball. And yesterday we asked, what advice would Mike Macdonald have for people coming to play for the first time on a links course? And he said, you got to hit the ball low.
Keep everything low.
It's going to be Hayden's challenge because he hits it really high.
I'll just hit the range before start hitting my punch shots.
Yeah, well, Scotland's #1 golfer and Scotland's greatest ever left-hander, Bob Mcintyre, has made some waves on the DP World Tour, but also on the world stage, having 2 top 10s in his first 2 Open appearances. And he went to the college in the States, but quickly found out that he hit the ball too low. So, for the last 3 or 4 years, he's worked on getting his, playing in the States and playing worldwide. He needs to get that ball flight up. But, the top players over here, they grow up playing so much links golf that they have a naturally low ball flight, which only gets you so far on the global stage.
Well, it's, Bob Mcintyre also had a really good couple of days at the Masters. He finished T23 and was a very popular figure there this year.
Yeah,
but
go ahead. He made a T12 a year previous, so that was his second Masters, and probably equally impressive coming back there and doing it under a bit more pressure. So he's definitely our there's a couple, but he's definitely the shining light of what we all hope to be the next big star from Scotland.
Yeah, it's interesting to me, and we talked to Mike Macdonald about this, but it's puzzling why there aren't more great Scottish golfers playing on the DP World Tour or over here in the States. Bob McIntyre is the shining star at the moment. Over here, Russell Knox and Martin Laird have basically relocated. If you listen to Martin Laird, you think he's an American now. He's been here so long. There's hardly a touch of accent now, but
yeah.
And I know there's some other players, but it just seems like there should be. Who's the next Sandy Lyle?
Yeah, I know. I think Bob will win. Prediction here. This is not breaking news. I'm sure there's other people that think this, but I think he'll play a Ryder Cup and he'll win majors. Bob McIntyre, he has that mentality. But Scotland's a country of only 5.5 million, so it goes in waves. And Northern Ireland, of course, they're even smaller. I think they're only 4 million or 3.5 million. But they've had success. But I think the game of golf has become a global game. That's great for the game, but it's become more global. And the US, the talent is so deep in the US, and then you look at Asia and what Hideki's done there to grow the game there. So it's great the game's growing, but it certainly makes competing there on the global stage tougher.
Makes for getting a tee time on Sunday even tougher too.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's true. Now, a moment ago, you mentioned the DP World Tour, and I know that you work there and that you work on their social media platforms. Tell us about what you do there.
Yeah, so I get paid to watch golf and clip up shots and put it on social media. So I've got a dream job in many ways, Yeah, we're a relatively small team of people that try and make content and make golf fun, and we don't always have the biggest names playing on our tour. A lot of our members go over to the PGA Tour and play over there, but my role is essentially to cover the golf tournament. We have over 40 events on our tour from all over the world, and definitely count myself lucky, fortunate, grateful to have that role and do a job that I enjoy. There's no trouble getting out of bed for Thursday morning on the Masters. We have to keep the website ticking over and post a few things on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah. So your job, do you get to travel a lot to these venues, or are you doing it from
home? No, before the pandemic, we were traveling probably every third week on site at these golf tournaments. Now, post pandemic, it's probably the main events. I probably travel 10 weeks a year to the Rolex Series events. There's 5 of those this year, 3 of them in the Middle East. And then, some other events that we kind of run, the Irish Open or the British Masters. So it's a nice balance. 10, I was doing 25 at one week, 25 weeks away is quite a lot. And the travel becomes, boring after a while. So I've certainly enjoyed this sort of recalibrating to more like 10 weeks. It's a better kind of work-life balance for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And now with the baby on the way, you've got to be especially...
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll be enjoying my home time, but then I'll be looking forward to the weeks away potentially.
Yeah.
That's funny. But I think you probably, well, I know that you heard that over here, Robert Garrigus requested an opportunity to play in the LIV tour, the event in London.
Yeah.
And the whole U.S. is curious as to what's going to happen. Are they going to grant him the exemption? What's DP World's Tour feeling about that?
Yeah, it's one that we've sort of distanced ourselves from. I guess it's there's a lot of things going on. I'm well down the pecking order to really comment on that. All I would say is that the collective membership probably have to look out for each other and the dog's whining. What I would say is that it's I guess it's just about the tour looking out for its members collectively and hopefully they support the tour like they have done in the past.
Yeah, it sounds like your dog wants to be in the podcast, which is fine with us. We're dog lovers here, so
we are
dog family.
Does your dog go out and play with you on Cruden Bay?
Yeah, on a short lead. That's the policy. So yeah, at most courses over here, it's dog friendly, and I think it's quite symbolic, really. That a dog being allowed on a golf course. If a dog can go on a golf course, it means that any human can. So it's very accessible over here. The golf courses are accessible to anybody. Rich, poor, women, or men in most cases. So that's a great thing about Scottish golf, I think.
My wife would play a lot more golf if that was the rule here.
Yeah, that's true.
She'd actually learn to play.
No, it's great. It's great in the summer when you want to try and nip out for 9 holes, but you've got to walk the dog. You can kind of kill 2 birds.
Yeah,
exactly.
Just attach his leash to the trolley.
Yeah, well, we don't really have trolleys over here, but you're not meant to. I carry, but yeah, you'd have. And she normally sits, so that's good. But yeah, it's great. It's one of the things I look forward to most about summertime is those late evening walks. As the sun goes down in Cruden Bay, just to get 9 holes in.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Now, back to the DP World Tour for a minute. One of the things that I followed closely was Keith Pelley coming on as the CEO, and it seems like he's done a tremendous job growing that tour, raising the visibility around the world, expanding its reach. And I'm guessing that's having a big impact on what you do, right? In terms of you've got a global audience now, as opposed to primarily a European audience.
Yeah, I can only speak to, I've only been there when Keith Pelley's been there, and he's certainly, from my perspective, been a great influence for everybody at the tour and super supportive of our department, but everyone. He loves the content we make, and he's always trying to maximize that for us, and he's been really supportive, and yeah, he's modernized the company across all different areas, and loves his golf as well, and he's always asking me about Scotland and the golf courses and the ones that he likes. So yeah, he's been great, and I can only say good things about him and my experiences with him.
Well, I'll tell you what, one of the great things about the summer for me is July and August, and getting to watch. I know people are marking time for the 150th Open at St. Andrews, but as you mentioned, you've got the Scottish Open at Renaissance, you've got the Women's British Open at Muirfield. I love that time of year where you've got the senior men's open, the women's open, and the Scottish Open, which I loved. Oh, I love it everywhere they play it, but I really enjoyed it when it was at Castle Stewart.
Yeah, you mentioned the men's senior open is going to be at Glen Eagles as well. So as much as it's not a links course, the King's course, James Braid, it'll be another good week. Yeah, the eyes of the world will be on the golfing world will be on Scotland this summer, and yeah, it's kind of like it's a festival of golf, really, from the start of July right through to August. It's going to be loads of good golf.
Now, of all the places that you've traveled with the DP World Tour, what's your favorite place to visit?
I think I've been lucky to go to, I think it's 5 continents. I've enjoyed Hong Kong. Hong Kong was very westernized, in many ways, but obviously in Asia. And great food, great beer, great golf course. A sense that you've traveled. Sometimes you go to these places and you see the golf course in the hotel and the airport, and you feel like you haven't really seen the place.
Right.
But Hong Kong was great. The nightlife was great, and it was kind of a great week. And then I guess Kenya was great as well, because to do a safari and to be in Nairobi and to see a different culture, I think was really cool. Those were the two that really stand out. I've been lucky to go to a couple of the majors in the States, Shinnecock, Bethpage, different types of experiences, but more kind of golf centric experiences. But Kenya and Hong Kong certainly are the two favorites for me.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think again, it's really fun for me to watch American golfers. So Brooks Koepka kind of grew up. He and Peter Uihlein were playing together on the DP World Tour, and then now I know there's some other guys there, David Lipsky, and I really like this John Catlin. He had a couple of wins last season, but I love watching the Americans play over there, and I like the fact that I know many of them want to get to the PGA Tour here in the States, but what a wonderful experience to be able to travel and see the world the way that you have, right, through golf, and the way that they have, the Koepkas and the Uihleins and the Catlins of the world. It's just a wonderful experience for them.
Yeah, and it's not easy, I don't think, being a young, 20-something, trying to make your way on the world stage. It can be a lonely place. One guy that's done that very well and pretty quickly was Christian Besaidnout from South Africa, right. and now he's cementing it in himself. I think he hasn't missed a major cut in eight starts. Certainly a guy that's familiar with. I think he's in the top 30 in the world. He doesn't look like he's out of place there. Certainly kept his card on the PGA Tour. So the DP World Tour, as much as it's not a stepping stone, but we've seen success from guys that have done well here. Eric van Rooyen is another one. Make their way onto the PGA Tour and compete in majors. So it's a great tour to be a part of. We go to some amazing places, and we have some great opportunities.
Yeah. When you mentioned Kenya and Hong Kong, I thought you were going to throw Dubai in there.
No, I probably prefer Abu Dhabi over Dubai if I was going to choose.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's amazing. If you've never been, it's certainly worth going to. Travel, same as golf courses, it's subjective. So, but I've been to Dubai so many times now, it's kind of doesn't excite me as much as it maybe once did.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the
Sure.
feeling. Hayden, what do you have for him? Any?
That was coming. I've been wanting to ask you if you think Tiger's going to be playing in St. Andrews.
I think he said as much. Yeah. I think he said that to Sky Sports.
Yeah.
So yeah, great golf course for him. One that he's got history with, but one that's very flat. I'm sure Jeff, you can attest. It's very, very much an easy walk. It'll be a long week. I do know that he's playing the JP McManus Pro-Am in Ireland. I guess that's 10 days before the Open.
Yeah, I'm sure to get ready
Yeah.
for it.
What course are they playing that at? Is that it?
At Dare. So it'll be more like certainly a parkland sort of experience, but one that you can acclimatize to the time difference and no doubt enjoy some Irish hospitality, in lead up to the Open. So
I think the PGA he's playing in as well, and that's coming up soon, right?
I don't know. I hadn't heard that he's playing in the PGA.
It
well,
might have
I
been
think he submitted. Yeah, he submitted an
he submitted. Yeah,
application. Yeah.
this hasn't committed,
He
but
submitted an application. Can you believe that? Hey, Tiger, you just can't walk in here and play. You got to give us an application.
right.
There's always paperwork. Paperwork to be done somewhere.
You could have showed up on Thursday morning and played the Masters if you wanted to.
Yeah, they would have gladly opened a spot for Tiger. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Did you see the throngs of people watching him tee off that Thursday morning, bro?
On practice day, did you see the practice day? It was a whole crowd. Everybody there was watching Tiger.
Yeah, I was actually talking to a couple of DP World Tour guys, and they said the energy on the Monday was crazy. I know Shane Lowry was actually there on the practice on the Monday before. If you remember, everyone was following Tiger on his plane on his way up there. This was a week before, and he said that it was kind of crazy to see the fans and the energy there. So, he's great for the game, and hopefully he stays healthy and he can get to St. Andrews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're right, Rue. It's a flat course. It'd be an relatively easy walk for him, much less hilly than walking up and down the hills at Augusta National.
If Tiger does play, we can say goodbye to finding tickets.
Well, that's true. That's
going to be near impossible.
Yeah. Are you going to go to the Open, Rue?
Yeah, I'll be working there in my role as the DP World Tour content team. I've got a couple of tickets as well, so friends and family will be down as well to watch. But I found the open ticket scheme very fair. I don't know if you went through the ballot application, and obviously some people got and some people didn't, but it seemed like a seamless process, and I don't know if there's been any success on the secondary market. I know they built that platform to sort of get the secondary sale tickets, but whether anyone's using that or are people just going through other means to get a good price for their tickets, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was on that site. We were unsuccessful in the lottery, which is really, when you think about it, 5 years ago, you could get tickets the day before.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, now, and it started in 2019 because everyone wanted to go to Port Rush. No one had been there. And I remember I got tickets. I got an email from the Open Championship Committee saying that hey, we're sold out of tickets for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I jumped on and I got Thursday tickets, which turned out to be perfect for our group. But that was the first time I'd ever seen that happen. I've been to 5 opens and never previously had a problem getting tickets.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a demand there now, and some venues could cater for more. I think St Andrews is kind of in the middle in terms of how many spectators it can cater for, but obviously it being the 150th, and you'll experience this in your industry. There's definitely a pent up demand of international travel. People have been starved of it for a couple of years, so I guess it's a perfect storm.
Hey, Rue, are y'all hiring? Y'all need any help? Taking pictures?
I think we're good, but yeah, there'll be a long queue of people wanting to work there or attend in some capacity.
Yeah. No.
Well, yeah, Hayden would move to Scotland to be a caddy at Cruden Bay if he could, I'm sure.
I've got caddy experience.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I did 6 months here. You wouldn't know the course, but
It's a very nice course, but
it's called Cherokee Town and Country Club. But
cool. Well, I
it was
know
a fun time.
I was on a call a couple of weeks ago with Sean Zach, who writes for golf.com, and he's actually coming over to St Andrews for 2 months to write from here for 2 months and immerse himself in the culture a little bit and find a few stories that people might not be aware of. So, if you're young, free, and single, and you can do that, then I'm certainly envious of Zach. I'm sure Sean Zach. I'm sure he'll enjoy his couple of months in St Andrews.
Yeah.
Yeah, my girlfriend and I did that last summer. We spent the summer there, 2 months, rented a house, 150 yards from the old course.
Not bad.
I mean, you either have to be very young or very old, I guess. I'm not sure which category I fall into in that.
And
hey,
how did you?
Go ahead.
Well, it's your podcast, and I'm asking you questions. How did you find St Andrews then? Was that to spend that time there and not just dip your toe, but reaffirm a lot of things you probably felt about St Andrews before?
Well, my girlfriend was with me and she'd been there once before. And she doesn't care for Lossiemouth, but she says I could live in St. Andrews. So we spent a month there and there's no one, or 2 months there rather. There was no one there, right? There are no tourists, no American accents, which was brilliant. The only difficulty was getting into restaurants because the people that were there wanted to go out to eat and the capacity was cut in half. So it was tough to get into restaurants. But
sure.
Every morning I would get up, go to Tesco, get a coffee, a newspaper, stroll down to watch, this is like 6 a.m., watch the first guys go off on the tee. I can tell you what, here's what happened. 2 times people stopped me, Scottish people, to ask for directions. And I could tell them where to go, how to get to where they wanted to go. It's the third thing that happened was I'm walking down the street one day and a guy in a 1965 E-type Jaguar, the one with a real long nose, leans out the car and goes, "Hey, Jeff, that doesn't happen in the town I live in." And it happens in St. Andrews. It was amazing. Let's go back to Cruden Bay. You're a proud member of Cruden Bay. Tell our listeners what makes the course in that club so special.
Well, I think it's one of the few courses that still has a lot of its original design. Certainly the philosophy of Cruden Bay. It was built it was opened in 1899, designed by Tom Morris. It has a lot of blind shots, which isn't for everybody, but again, you have to remember the golf course was built when there was no bulldozers, there was no technology, there was just buckets and spades. So from that perspective, you've got half a dozen blind shots around the golf course. People describe Cruden Bay as one of the most beautiful golf courses they ever play. I think not only is it designed beautifully, but the views is spectacular. As your Zoom background can attest, we have a number of notable signature holes around the golf course. The 9th tee might be the most dramatic of them all. High above the golf course, looking down, you can see pretty much every hole in the course and 2 miles of sandy beach. And then the membership is a very friendly one. We're very lucky to get a large number of tourists every year that help subsidize our membership, so it keeps our dues down. So you get a welcome, for a number of reasons, because you're partly paying for people's membership. But it's a very supportive club, and yeah, it kind of one of those, as you touched on before, Jeff, before we started recording. It's still a little bit under the radar, but it's certainly moved its way up the world rankings, and sits inside the top 100 of any real notable ranking. So it's silently becoming a bit more of the top end, but a reasonable green fee at £150.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, Hayden, when you're standing on the ninth tee, if the wind's blowing, you better have some rope with you. You're going to need to tie a couple of goats and a couple of sheep around your waist to make sure you don't get blown away, because you are fully exposed on the ninth tee.
Yeah, and
Yes.
I've heard Cruden Bay described as like the Pebble Beach of Scotland, given its location and the views and all that. But it's also been described to me as the most Irish looking Scottish golf course. So
I was going to bring that up.
if you like your
Yeah.
Hinches and your Ballybunions and your Trillies, it's kind of all them rolled into one.
Yeah, Hayden, what makes it so Irish, at least in my mind, the dunes there are just crazy tall.
Yeah.
Very, very reminiscent of what you see in the south and the west of Ireland. It's magnificent, really. So what you're saying then is that our guests will get a very nice welcome there.
Yeah, most definitely. And I was just going to add, we have two other top 100 courses just down the road, within 15 miles. Royal Aberdeen, Trump Aberdeen, also Mercer is another one that's just outside the top 100, but another Great Links course. So if you're driving down from your Lossiemouths, your Murrays, it's the next stop on the way to St Andrews. So yeah, I'd always advocate people just to spend a bit more time in one region. I think your clients, they all want to play they've got every golf course. If I went to play New York or Long Island, I'd probably want to play all the big courses in one. Sometimes slowing down and either playing another golf course in the area or playing the same course twice. As hard as it feels and as unnatural as it feels to play another golf course, to not play another golf course, I think people could benefit from just slowing down a little bit and staying an extra night in a region.
Well, yeah, driving up that coast, you go through Montrose, Carnoustie, Mercer, Panmure. Then you get to Royal Aberdeen, Cruden Bay. You forgot to mention, or maybe you don't like them, Fraserburgh and Peterhead.
Oh, I love Fraserburgh. Yeah.
Yeah. You've got just a tremendous amount of great courses right there. And I would agree, you could base yourself in Aberdeen, or they could stay in your property, right? Which hopefully you'll mention in a moment, but and just use that as a hub to rotate around those different courses there in Aberdeenshire.
Yeah. It wasn't meant to be an indirect plug for the property, but yeah, we have purchased a 5-bedroom luxury kind of self-catering accommodation on site. We say it's 50 yards from the front door of the clubhouse. It's certainly within 100 yards of the first tee, with views over the golf course. So, for guys that are in maybe a group of 4, certainly a good option. But yeah, we are lucky to have so much great golf on our doorstep, literally. So
Nice. We'll have to check it out.
What course other than Cruden Bay in Scotland would you say is your favorite?
So yeah, I would put Cruden Bay in the same bucket as North Berwick. It feels to me like you play golf to have fun, and there's some great holes and there's some championship holes, but there's a lot of fun shots you hit, and hopefully, Hayden, you'll experience that. Coming to Scotland should be fun. You shouldn't be always, hitting 3 woods into 230 yard par 4, 230 yard second shots into par 4s. You shouldn't be hacking out sideways out of rough. I find North Berwick to be a lot of fun, especially that back 9 can pretty much remember every shot from the 13th fairway all the way back to the clubhouse. So I'd certainly have North Berwick up there, and it's probably throw in Castle Stuart, to go with the old, you need some new. So, as much as it's probably 15, 20 years old now, it feels very old, and it's very, very much the same way as North Berwick and Cruden Bay. It's a lot of fun. Castle Stuart, you find yourself playing different shots all the time. So,
have you played? Obviously, you played Kingsbarns, but have you played Dumbarnie yet?
Yeah, I definitely would have Dumbarnie maybe just behind Castle Stuart in terms of the modern new courses in Scotland. I love it. I think it's fun as well. I feel like it's a great match play course. It might be the best match play course out of them all.
Yeah, that's a great comment. I love 17.
Yeah,
with the stone wall through it. I mean, that's reminiscent of North Berwick.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's probably 2 or 3 really drivable par 4s there, and and that's why it feels like a great match play course.
And the Women's Scottish Open looked great there last summer. I mean, it's amazing that they had a major tournament, or I should say a professional tournament, on a course that's that new.
I know, amazing. I think that place wasn't grassed 24 months before they had the tournament. It's amazing.
So you brought up some names, and I've got a serious question for you. So I've been going to Scotland since before Cruden Bay, before Castle Stuart, Kingsbarns, Dumbarnie, Trump International, Aberdeen, before they were there, Dundonald. What's your feeling about those courses overall? And I don't mean whether their playability or whether you enjoy them, but what impact do you think the cost of those places has had on golf in Scotland?
I think overall it's been a good thing. Without singling any of them out, I think they've all brought more attention to Scotland as a collective. I think more people probably have more people traveled to Scotland just for those courses? Maybe not. But they've added to the golf that's on offer. And in Aberdeen's case, it's brought more people to Aberdeen for longer, which is only a good thing for the likes of Cruden Bay or Mercer or Fraserburgh. There's definitely more rounds of golf because of the Trump course there. So on the whole, I do worry. You mentioned, what does it do for cost? I do worry that Scotland's becoming a little bit expensive. You'll know this better than me because you're pricing up the trips, but you struggle to find a golf course probably under £200. That's in the top tier. Cruden would be the kind of one of the few exceptions to the rule. So I do worry, where does it stop? At a certain point you need to sort of think, well, that's enough's enough. But there's ways and means that you're a big advocate of looking to play some other courses in the region, and you can also play the same course on a day ticket, for example, or you get a replay ticket. You can play it a couple of days after. But I think generally it's been a good thing. But I do, to conclude my point, I think I do worry about the future and how much we can continue to charge these prices.
Yeah, I think that, when you look at Kingsbarns being so close to St. Andrews and nearly twice the price for visitors, or, some of those courses are 350 quid. It's just crazy.
But, in Kingsbarns' defense, and I agree, it's an eye-watering amount of money for one round of golf. But the demand's there. Whenever I've heard people come to Kingsbarns, it's sold out. So as long as there's people willing to pay it, I guess they'll charge it. But for me, I wouldn't come to Scotland to solely put all my eggs in that basket of playing a modern links course. I guess you could do that at Bannon Dunes or whatever. I'd come and play some old courses and old clubs that have a bit of culture and a bit of soul to them. As much as I like Kingsbarns, I think you'll find yourself enjoying the more traditional courses perhaps more.
Yeah, the Elys of the world, or the Murrays of the world, or the Cruden Bays of the world.
Yeah.
So if you could go anywhere in the world and play golf, Rue, what course would you play? that you
Uh,
haven't played?
which I haven't played. Um, I'm probably drawn to like the northwest of Ireland. I feel like, the Cairns of the world, or the St. Patrick's, the new course at Rosapenna. That's a part of the world that I'll probably venture to at one point. But the sand belt in Australia, I'm already pitching to a few friends about a trip to the sand belt, maybe after a Dubai trip. Dubai's kind of halfway to Australia, so I'd work in Dubai and then I'd carry on to Australia and play a week's golf.
Nice.
Yeah, I think over there in the northwest of Ireland, you've got, as you mentioned, Cairn, you've got Ennistrone, which is outstanding, Sligo, 3 courses at Rosapenna, including the new St. Patrick's links, and a redo of Neffinen District, right? Or Nairn and Portneuf. I'm getting them confused with the
I think it's Nairn, isn't it?
Nairn and Portneuf, yeah. That they redid with, I believe it was Tom Doak did that. I get it confused with St. Patrick's Links, but yeah, you can't go wrong in that part of the world. So follow up to that: 4 people, living or dead. You could form a foursome. Who would they be, and where would you play?
Oh, I would say it would be Cruden Bay, and it would be Tom Morris. It would be Tom Simpson, who did the redesign 25 years after Tom Morris, and they'd probably be arguing about the changes that each other did to the golf course. It would be myself, and then it would be, what's the final one? Someone like Sevi, or someone that you could see there, with my DP World Tour hat on, somebody a European that has a bit of short game magic. I'd love to see how they play my home course.
Nice.
I'd take out, I love Sevi, but I'd take him out and put in Bob Mcintyre, right? Make it an all Scottish foursome. Or actually, is Tom Simpson English? I don't remember.
I think he is, yeah. I think he is. But yeah, good shout on Bob. Get Bob up.
So what's been your favorite golf experience in your life so far?
Oh, it's quite a deep question. I think I remember my round at Macdonald Old Course, and I don't know how many of your clients venture that far south, and if you've managed to make it that far.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
For anyone that hasn't, it's basically Cruden Bay, but it's in a remote southwest corner of Scotland, and you've probably got Glasgow's only 80 miles away, but it feels like forever away. So the drive there is not a quick one. It's 3 hours drive from Glasgow. So the dunes there are just like Cruden Bay. It's kind of an Irish feel to it. You get lost in these massive dunes, and you just felt like you could leave your phone. And for me, who's on my phone all day working, it was quite nice to feel like you were away from it all. And I'd really recommend the Ugadale cottages there, run by South Wart Properties, part of the Macdonald Dunes portfolio. I'd really recommend staying and playing there. Definitely worth the trip. And one of those cases of why travel all that way to play one round. Make sure you play a couple.
Well, you can play the new course there as well, and Dunaverty, right?
Yeah. Well, you've your stuff. You've obviously had Jim Hartzell on recently.
Yeah, that's right. Jim will tell you all about those.
Yeah, he can tell you more about over there, but I haven't played Dunaverty yet, but I don't know how I missed it the first time I was over there.
But the one where you just drop your money in and play?
Yeah, in the honesty box. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the clubhouse was open the day I played it, but yeah, there's definitely some cattle roaming about on that golf course on the first few holes anyway. And yeah, a really charming little place. But yeah, similar to Macdonald, you're in the kind of middle of nowhere, it feels like, and you're alone with your thoughts, and without going too deep or too, it felt like a spiritual experience playing Macdonald. And you know, again, one of those courses that's kind of been lost in time a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's left on your golf bucket list? You
I'd
mentioned
love,
Australia.
yeah, I think Scotland wise, I'd love to play a day at Muirfield. I've only done 18 holes, but I have not had the privilege of donning a jacket and tie and going in for lunch and then playing the foursomes in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I think that
That
is
is, I'll tell you what, Rue, that's a wonderful bucket list item and something that you need to make happen. I mean, the lunch there is, you just can't even imagine, right? I mean,
I'm hungry, so
and
let's not talk about that.
the only place I've seen comparable to that is Royal St. George's. They have a comparable lunch, and it's a wonderful day of golf. And Muirfield is such an amazing links, and it's unique too in that it's fairly far away from the sea. The views aren't as great, but the course is just magnificent, right? The clubhouse is majestic.
It's all about the golf there at Muirfield, you know, aside from the lunch. It's all about the golf course. And as you say, there's no frills to it. You're not standing on tee boxes taking pictures, but yeah, the proper golf is to be played if you're gonna have good down there.
And hey, they don't even have a pro shop there. You're expected to show up with everything you need. You better not need an extra sleeve of balls because you're not going to get them there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they include this now, but they do have, like, they've converted a part of their clubhouse recently into like a merchandise. You get a logo.
Oh,
top.
did they really?
Yeah. So it's definitely not a proper pro shop though. You're not gonna get, you're not gonna get spikes there.
Pump fitting, regripping.
No.
Well, last question for you today, Rue. You've been very generous with your time. For someone traveling to Scotland for the first time, like Hayden, what advice do you have for him?
I'll give you a couple. I think I've touched on it. Not to try and do too much, and Hayden, you will do too much because your father-in-law is kind of forcing you to do too much, or he's planned the trip for you, so you're going to see it all in the couple of weeks you're there. But
I have to.
I would on your second trip, Scotland will keep you coming back. So, try and pick a couple of regions, whether it's up north in Dornoch and down here in Aberdeen, or North Berwick and the East Lothian region, and then combining with Prestwick and Troon. But try and pick a couple of regions and not try and take on too much. I would say that. I would say one thing, I don't know if you've seen this, Jeff. Do people forget they're on a golf holiday and sometimes take their golf too serious? I feel like I see a lot of meltdowns middle of the trip. I feel like people have to come and have fun and embrace the hard, tough bunkers and the rough and everything like that.
I'll take it as a challenge, but also just have fun with the tough shots and adjusting to the course. And I'm really excited to try everything out. Obviously, I'm not going to be shooting for the bunkers, but I want to get in at least one pot bunker. At least one.
Oh, you will. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
You don't have to worry about that.
I want to see. I was going to say, if you're playing the old course or something like that, there's other courses like the old course. You'll hit in bunkers you don't even know were existed. So,
Hayden, look over my shoulder, Hayden. Those are 2 pot bunkers on the 4th hole at Cruden Bay.
I can't imagine like being on the lip of that. What do you do? Just hit it off the wall?
Yeah, and most of the time they're designed in a way that they kind of stay away from the lips. But yeah, it's just about keeping your speed up through the ball. And the final tip would be embrace the putter. I think people, if you go back to Jeff's screensaver there, the wallpaper, if you're short of that green, bring your putter out. There's only one play there. There's no point getting your your lob wedge out.
Maybe if I aim at the bunkers, I won't hit them. Maybe that's the plan.
And embrace the food as well. Scotland is, an old stereotype is that we've got rubbish food, but as you could attest, Jeff, St Andrews being an example, you couldn't get a seat in the restaurants there. We've got some of the best seafood in the world. So salmon, scallops, crab, whatever you want.
Ready.
You'll enjoy that.
The Highland Coups give pretty good beef too.
Yeah.
I know you've got that reputation, but it's an outdated stereotype in my mind, Rue. When I think of, I've searched out some of the best restaurants in Scotland for the groups that we've had. We've been to the Pete Inn down in St Andrews, which has been a wonderful restaurant for a long time. There are a handful of restaurants in St Andrews that are great. The Three Chimneys out on the Island of Skye is supposed to be the best place in the country. We've been there. But I would say in general, the caliber of the food is on par with anywhere in the world. And to your point, the seafood is excellent everywhere in Scotland. Have you been to the Kimberley Inn in Findhorn?
No.
And that's a short drive, like half an hour drive from Murray. They've got this old inn called the Kimberley Inn. I took Tina, my girlfriend, who's a health fanatic, right? Doesn't eat anything fried. And we were there with another couple, and three of us order fish and chips. She orders a Caesar salad with grilled chicken on top, right? And she sees this piece of fish, it's literally off the plate, right? And she goes, "I can't believe you're eating something that unhealthy." So she says, very early in the meal, she says, let me have a bite. And she takes a bite. She pushes her food away, pulls my plate over and says, "You're going to have to order another plate." Right? So from that point on, she is a fish and chips connoisseur. So like the Anstruther Fish House.
Oh, yeah.
Where the Queen goes, and it's, I know that's not high cuisine, but it's excellent. And when you are trying to get a cure for a hangover, or just a day out for a fun meal, that's a great spot to go. Or fish and chips is never a bad choice.
Yeah, you're making me hungry now.
Yeah, same. I'm about to go.
Yeah, it's we're past our lunchtime here, and it's dinner time there. So, Ruth, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah,
you've been a great guest, and we will talk to you soon.
No, thanks for having me on, guys, and look forward to maybe bumping into you over here in Scotland this summer.
Definitely.
Yeah, I hope so.
What an honor that was. Thank you so much, Rue, for coming on and talking with us today. I'm excited to get out and hopefully play Cruden Bay in one of my upcoming trips. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your friends and family. See you next week. Thanks.